Thank you very much. My name is Eric Gioia, and first let me just thank all of you for being here on such short notice. It sends such a message that as a people, as New Yorkers, we know how hateful, how evil, and how wrong this is. You know, I was at the NARAL luncheon. It was probably less than a month ago, and someone said to me in the elevator, well, I'm happy to be at this luncheon, but how much more work do we have to do? We've won. President Obama's been elected. And I told the person that we had not won and we had more work to do, but what a terrible reminder of how much further we have to come as a country. And I will say that Dr. Tiller, his family, his friends, all those who will miss him, it is obviously a terrible moment. And for all of us, the obligation we have is to go out there and to fight until we win, until this hatred has been finally put to rest. You know, it's not everybody who disagrees with us who is hateful and evil. There are many who disagree with us, who are good people who disagree with us. Many of us have had these arguments with our families, with our friends, tearful, angry arguments. It is our obligation to go out and have more of those arguments here in this city and here around the country until every single provider, every single advocate can go to sleep at night safe in their beds, can go to work in the morning safe in their offices, and to make sure that they can continue to defend a woman's right to choose as a fundamental human right without even a hint of retribution. So let us fight that battle and let us recommit ourselves. Thank you.
We have another city council member with us, council member from Manhattan, Jessica Lappin, who I just lost. Oh, there she is. Jessica Lappin would also like to speak. Thank you.
It is very difficult, Mary Alice, to be here tonight. Unlike a couple of the other people who've spoken this evening, I never met Dr. Tiller. And in fact, until I opened the paper today, I didn't know that much about him. But I didn't have to meet him to know that he was a hero and an incredibly brave man who stood up for what he believed in. And in the end, we all paid the price. And I was sad, I was angry, and I was wondering this morning, where are these women going to turn? I have a beautiful, healthy son, and I have been very blessed in my life. I haven't had to make the kind of choices or decisions that some of the women who had to visit him had to make. But they had a safe place that they could go, and they had somebody who they could talk to, somebody who cared enough to risk his own life to save theirs, to risk the life of his family who have been threatened, to get up each and every day and do what he believed in and to do the right thing. So I think the only thing left for us to do is to continue on in his memory and in his spirit, and to turn this incredibly tragic loss into a rallying cry. And that's what we're here today doing, rallying together, remembering him and carrying on in his spirit.
We also have in this movement a lot of wonderful advocates who make sure that this right is something that's protected legally. And one of those proud partners we have with us is the New York Civil Liberties Union, and I'm proud to bring to the stage Donna Lieberman.
I am so sorry to have to be here today. You know, when I saw the headline on my computer yesterday, it said, "Abortion doctor killed in Kansas," I knew immediately, and my heart sank. You shouldn't have to be a hero. You shouldn't have to be a saint or possessed of superhuman courage to be a doctor. But he was, and for that, we honor Dr. Tiller today. Dr. Tiller gave his life to save lives. And he didn't just save the lives of women in other states. You know, we like to think that here in New York, we're a safe haven where women who need abortions can get them, but that's not true. Because in some cases, there have been women in New York, like the 11-year-old child who couldn't get a physician in any hospital in New York to give her an abortion because it was too late in pregnancy after she had been raped. And she had to go to Dr. Tiller in Kansas. Dr. Tiller was the safety net for New York as well. And this isn't a political rally, but I think we have to commit ourselves to make sure that in Dr. Tiller's memory, we change our laws so that every woman in New York can get an abortion here in New York whenever she needs it. And as we think about Dr. Tiller and this horrible, horrible act that killed him, let's also celebrate his life, and let's think of some of the other doctors who have sacrificed so much and risked so much to provide women the care that we need. Let's think about Bill Rashbaum, who died a few years ago, whose family would call me regularly every time Bill felt a desperate need to speak out and defend his right to provide medical care for women, and he went public. His family would call me and ask me, do you think that he's going to get killed for being public about this? And let's think of Dr. Barnett Slepian, who was murdered in his home outside of Buffalo just a little over a decade ago. And let's think about the doctors, the nurses, the clinic staff who risk their lives every day to provide the services that women need in order to control their reproductive life and health. Yes! And let's think about the medical students and the nursing students and the PA students and the nurse practitioners who are now preparing for careers to protect the health and lives of women, whatever the risks. Yes! At the New York Civil Liberties Union, we were honored to know one of those providers because her daughter, Jessica Fireman, worked with us for a number of years. And of course, I immediately wrote to Jess when I heard about Dr. Tiller. She wrote back to me with an email from her brother about their mom, Liz Carlin. Liz Carlin was one of those docs who was told to wear a bulletproof vest because she was on the Dirty Dozen list, the list of doctors, the hit list for those so-called pro-life people who like the unborn but not the living. She was on the list and she was told to go around with a bulletproof vest, which she used to schlep with her in a suitcase. This is from Liz's son. My mom, Dr. Liz Carlin, was a self-proclaimed abortion doctor. Like Dr. Tiller, she was much more than that, and perhaps would have preferred to have been called just a doctor. My mom knew Dr. Tiller and worked to support him after he was shot in 1993. Mom volunteered to perform late-term abortions in Dr. Tiller's practice while he recovered, although I don't think Dr. Tiller's practice needed her services. My heart goes out to Dr. Tiller's family, who lived with fear year after year and eventually saw him murdered in front of them. Anyway, my mom died in 1998 of non-terrorism related causes, but Dr. Tiller's death made me think about the weirdness of life in the abortion wars and the immense courage that Dr. Tiller showed year after year.